Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 2 of That's My Story. That's My Story, once again, is our quarantine-based online TV program, which allows us to interview artists, some of your favorite artists, some of your favorite musicians, some of your favorite producers, and allow them a chance to tell their story. So I am one of the co-hosts, Jerry Midas Hardison, along with Mr. Brandon Stevens, along with Mr. Kid Knox. Our special guest, who will be joining us in just a little bit this evening, is the talented songwriter, musician, Michelle Renee. What's up, guys?
What's up? How you doing?
What's going on? How you doing? Happy Thursday.
I know it's Thursday when I see y'all's face.
Yes, indeed. Happy Thursday.
And you said something, talent.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this is about, talent. And Michelle Renee fits in that category.
Absolutely.
And everybody else that we will do on down the road. Everybody has a story to tell, right, Brandon?
Right.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's right.
We're real excited to have Michelle on today. She's a very accomplished musician, keyboardist, singer, songwriter, and she has released her own CD. She's part of a really well-respected and star-studded band in Charlotte, and she's played with a lot of great artists that a lot of you are familiar with. So we're going to get into all that.
And we're going to say hello to some of the fans that's listening.
Well, we got quite a few people on already.
Oh, yeah.
There's James Bobo, Teresa Boyette, Debbie Gooding.
Yes.
Reggie Brown.
Reggie Brown.
Yeah.
My mom is on. Hey, Mom.
Hey, Francis.
What's up, everybody?
Hey, Vivian.
Yeah. Hey, Mrs. Hardison, how you doing?
And also, folks, so, a lot of times when you see performers, you just, see them on stage performing. But there's another side to that, which is where we like to pull back the curtain, so to speak, just a little bit and allow them to tell you how they got to that stage where you get to see them perform. So there's always a process included, So, yeah, we're excited.
Absolutely.
Hey, Gavin's on the UK. I was chatting with Gavin a little earlier today. They were releasing their new single over there in the UK with the signatures, and Stefan and Dave and Ben, and I had a chance to speak with all of them. So they stayed up. I know it's getting late over there, guys. Maybe like 11:30 or so over in the UK. So I appreciate you guys staying up and joining us on our program this evening.
So are you guys ready to bring her on?
Let's do it.
Hey, Marky.
Got a lot of folks here. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we aforementioned, our special guest of the evening is now joining us. Please give it up in the comfort of your own home for Miss Michelle Renee.
Yay!
Hey, Michelle, how you doing?
Yeah.
All right.
Be here.
Yes, glad you're on with us this afternoon.
Oh, yeah, glad to have you here with us.
Yes, indeed.
Breaks up the monotony of being at home alone.
That too, yeah. Thank God for this technology that we have a chance to, even though we're in quarantine, we still have ways to come together, connect, have a conversation, maybe entertain some, So it's great.
Yeah.
Fans.
Happy to be here.
This is what another musician looks like. Guys.
She looks a little better than the rest of us, I think.
Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. From my perspective.
Jody Rogers is clapping her hands.
She's clapping?
So, Michelle.
Yes. I
think I met you probably about 6 years ago, maybe?
Yep. I've known you a while, yeah.
Yeah, and the venue that I saw you in, I said, man, somebody's killing these keyboards up here. And it was you. So,
thank you.
Yeah. So, what is your story? How'd you get started?
Well, my mom was a musician and a performer, and so it comes from DNA. Obviously, we all have somebody in the family that is in music. So when I was 4, she started me singing and playing guitar, and my brother was playing guitar and singing, and we were on stage by the time we were 5 years old, and we literally did gigs from the time we were 5.
That sounds like the Stevens family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were like the Partridge family.
And the Hardison too.
Except we didn't make all that money.
Yeah.
But we did have a good time, and then we moved from America to Germany, and we did all kinds of gigs there. And we moved back to America when I was a teen, and just kept gigging, and it never stopped. And I have to do music. I can't not do music. Neither can you all.
Yeah.
It's just in our blood.
It's in you.
It is.
Lifeblood.
It's an extension of yourself.
It is, and my mom got me started, and I'm never gonna quit. I'll never quit until I'm done.
Yeah, I understand.
Until the lights are out.
So how long were you in Germany for?
So I was there for 9 years, and I have a German mother and American father, and we went to German public school. So my brother and I literally were raised like German children. And then we moved to America when I was a teenager, and so was he. And that was quite a change. It was quite a shift because we lived in a really small town. And when you go back, you're like, oh my gosh, it looked so big, and it's just this big. It's tiny.
Right.
And, there was no crime. I mean, you could walk in, your 8-year-old kid could just go walk a mile away, and you didn't worry anything.
Right.
But, so we moved to America, and I was a teenager, so was my brother, and we just kept performing, and my mom just kept it going, and she got me my first official gig by myself.
Really?
Sitting at a piano, and she made a book for me, and it said, "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Michelle, and I am going to sing for you." And I read all the stuff that I was supposed to say, and then I had my music, and I play it. And then the next page, "Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen." Blah, 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 blah.
That's a good parent.
Yeah,
that's a good parent.
Awesome. And so she just took me into it, and it just never stopped.
Yeah,
and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to her.
Yeah, absolutely. So you had your first official gig when you were 5?
Well, actually, probably 4.5. We were in upstate New York. Yeah.
Okay.
And my mom did a record, and it was horrifying. Now, when you listen to it, it was a 78. It was one of those this big ones, and it's pretty bad, but we thought it was awesome.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. Fantastic. Fantastic.
We didn't have a producer. We didn't have Rodney Shelton or anybody like Terry Lewis. We didn't have that.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we'll speak on them down, a little bit later.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. So then, after my mom got me that first gig, and I'm reading the little notes of what to do, it kind of started taking off. And I started playing key bass with my left hand and playing piano with my right hand and singing. And then I became a little bit more confident in performing and actually talking to people, because you would think that I'm really outgoing, but I'm kind of a little shy, actually. So it was kind of, a lot of us are shy. A lot of us that are up there doing what we do are really shy people.
Right.
So it kind of gave me a little more confidence, and I ended up in Atlanta, and I went to work for an agency, and it was an exclusive deal, and they were booking me in these hotel gigs for really beautiful hotels. Ultimately, I was playing in a little boutique hotel in Atlanta one night, and this gentleman came in, and he was sitting at the bar, and he said, "Yeah, a friend of ours, a mutual friend, so-and-so." "Yeah, I do." And he said, "Well, he told me to come hear you, and we're looking for somebody to sing backup and play keys for our band." And I said, "Really, what's the band name?" And he says, "It's called the SOS Band. Have you ever heard of us?" And I was embarrassed. I was like, "Well, I'm not really sure." And he said, "Well, our hits were 'Baby, We Can Do It.' And I was like, "Oh yeah, I know our song. Just Be With Me, Just the Way You Like It, Tell Me If You Still Care." All these Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis tunes. I'm like, of course I know who you are.
Right.
Yeah. And was this in the 80s?
Yes, this was in the mid 80s and mid 80s.
Yeah.
And so ultimately they said, if you can learn the parts, because you could tell I could sing, enough to do that. I mean, if you're, they can tell if you can sing in tune.
Right.
And so he said, if you can learn the parts, then we would love to have you join us. and in the band and go on tour with us. So I went down to their little studio they had in Forest Park, South Atlanta.
Okay.
Yeah, been there.
Oh yeah, and I auditioned, and Jason Bryant was their music director, a brilliant keyboard player, brilliant man, so sweet, such a sweetheart.
Okay.
And Mary Davis is the lead singer, and they hired me. And
fantastic.
So from there, I toured all over the world. I've been a lot of places in the world because I grew up overseas, and when you're over there, you can drive 6 hours and be somewhere else.
Yeah.
That band took me to a lot of really cool places.
I could imagine.
We went to Japan, and we went to Europe, and we
Yeah.
did a tour with Kool and The Gang, and we were on the same bill, and we opened for them. And tour buses. I know you know tour buses.
Yeah.
I love a tour bus.
Tell us about it. Oh, yeah. If you're not driving, you're probably sleeping.
Oh, yeah, no, you can't be driving because that takes you 5 hours. But
Then you were sleeping
in your bunk on a tour bus, best sleep you'll ever get, people. I recommend it.
Yeah.
Especially with the neck pillow.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta have the neck pillow.
Yeah, just make sure you're turned the right way, feet forward.
Yes, indeed.
Question. Did you feel intimidated at all when you were among these great musicians in SOS?
Well, in terms of my keyboard playing, yes. Because, I took 2 years of classical, so I can read a little bit.
Right.
And the parts that I had to play, you got to play your parts. You better know your parts. And they were giving me these parts that were significant.
Were you playing aux or mains?
I was playing. I'm sorry.
Like auxiliary keys, like or the main.
I was doing a little bit of everything.
Oh, okay, cool,
A little bit of everything. I was playing some pretty significant parts, and some of the songs, and I had to run the. There was an old drum machine called it was a Roland. I want to say it was
it TR-808 or something like that? Okay.
Yes, it's got that cowbell, that signature Jimmy Jam Terry Lewis.
Okay. So you were responsible for that
thing too.
Wow.
I was intimidated, and if you get up there, the first gig I ever did with those guys, we were in that little venue up in Minneapolis that Prince shot his movie in.
Okay.
And Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis were at that gig, right?
Wow.
And I literally almost fell down. I had on heels way too high. I literally almost fell down getting in my keyboard. And then I was just like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this is happening. Like, what's happening right now? And I was intimidated. And boy, you better be in the pocket and you better hit that darn drum machine right on time.
Wow.
So,
that's the great thing about when you work amongst pros. There's no error, no room for error.
Oh no.
And because that night after night you have to be on, and hey, you stood up to it and you stood in it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I did. Now I did make a mistake one time. We were on a gig and the label wanted us to do the show. They wanted us to do a certain song in a certain order, right? That was different than what we'd been doing on that whole tour.
Okay.
And the band themselves kind of liked the song that we'd been doing all along. But I just went into autopilot and it was time to switch to the next song, and I was supposed to play the other song.
Oh man.
I went right back into the one I wasn't supposed to do.
Oh my God.
It happens sometimes.
And everyone in the band is looking at me, and I didn't stop. I just kept going.
Well, yeah.
Hey, sometimes when you're wrong, you got to keep being wrong.
Yeah, you got to be confident.
The band was so cool. Mary Davis was the nicest of them all, because she was like, I didn't really want to do that other song right now anyway, and we just went right into that. And at the end of the show, they're like, did you realize?
Yeah,
it
happens.
I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
See, that gesture by Mary, that would be what is now called emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
That's the new buzzword now. So instead of like, really
stopping
at you, kind of smooth the situation over, because she knows that she doesn't want you to feel bad during the rest of the performance because you made a mistake. We all make mistakes.
We all do.
It was muscle memory. You were, already thinking about going into that next song, so it happens sometimes.
She was so cool about it, and I mean, the guys, the other musicians were kind of like, well, ha ha ha, and she was like, you know, whatever. So yeah, I really appreciated that, but that made me pay more attention on the next show, because the next one I didn't start going I didn't know.
Right.
I'm the girl with the big hair in the back.
Yeah, nice.
And you couldn't dress.
Yeah.
That was so fun. You know what? This has taken me back to even a month ago. I haven't done a gig in 6 weeks or 5 weeks.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
How about us?
I miss it. Don't you miss it?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I miss it so much. It's such a big part of my life, and that just made me go back. And I'm like, I almost teared up. I'm like, you know what? I gotta get back to that.
Yeah,
well,
it's coming.
Our fans said they love the SOS band. She loved the SOS band. I'm sorry. Ellie Warren, one of our
Ellie.
She plays saxophone with us when we tour to the UK, and when she comes over here, she tours with us. She loves the song. Hattie Rogers.
Hey, Hattie.
Girl out of Detroit. So
hello.
Well, Michelle, while we're still on the subject of the SOS band, or Ellie says you has awesome hair.
Can you see that, Michelle? When you see that?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, cool. All right,
the hair was crazy. I mean, it was like teased at the root spray. I mean, anybody who was alive in the 80s that actually did their hair back then, and
hairspray.
Whoo, hairspray. Yeah. You know what? We had a makeup artist doing our hair.
Oh,
we had a makeup artist doing our makeup.
Yeah, I could imagine. Brandon, did you have a question?
Yeah, Michelle. So I just wanted you to let the people know a little bit, what it's like to be on stage and touring with a band that has a lot of big hits, and I'm sure that y'all had packed crowds wherever y'all went. Like, what was that experience like? What was that feeling like on stage with them?
It was not any different night after night. Even after this, after a year and a half to 2 years, you still get that rush. It's like it's like ephedrine. It's just like feels so good, and the rush never changes. And 50,000 people. I performed with them in front of 50,000 people in huge venues, and then maybe a smaller amphitheater, maybe in Atlanta or something. But I never felt that accomplished for some reason. I never felt like, wow, I can't believe I'm doing this. I kind of felt like this is so cool, and I love what I'm doing so much.
Right.
And then when you get out there, at first my heart pounds before the curtains open or we walk out on stage. And then after that, you just kind of go into it, and you've rehearsed your show, and you look out at the people, and everybody's just like this. And I mean, come on, the music. I mean, who doesn't love that music? Who can't love SOS band music for real?
Right. Yeah.
It's some of the best stuff out there, and it's timeless. And
it's classic stuff,
Yeah, and it felt so good.
Yeah. Terry Lewis and Jimmy Jam, in my opinion, they put them on the map.
Well, they did. Well, now the first song, "Take Your Time, Do It Right," was written by somebody different, and that actually put them on the map. And that thing went to number one, for a long time. Right. And then so that was their first hit. And then after that, they did a couple different things. And then Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis came on board via, I want to say Taboo Records, but I may be wrong. So I'm not. I'm not the gospel on this. Yeah. But they really did bring on those other hits. Just Be Good to Me, Just the Way You Like It, Tell Me If You Still Care, Weekend Girl. Those songs still touch me. And I still listen to that stuff and jam around the house. It's just so fun. Yeah.
Now, for some of the people at home who may not be familiar with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, could you tell us a few of the artists that they have produced and or worked with?
Yeah. Well, Janet Jackson, hello.
Hello.
A ton of stuff with her. They actually put her musical career, in my opinion, and it's humble.
Okay.
But the biggest hits she had, I think they wrote.
Which one?
Well, they wrote all of them. They
Control album.
Oh, yeah, the Control
Rhythm Nation.
Okay.
All of that.
So all of that, not one in particular.
I think the first one I remember was When I Think of You.
Oh, yeah, when I think of you, oh, that was nice.
That was the first one that I remember. And I actually met her briefly. She's really, really sweet. We were doing a tour with Jermaine on the West Coast. And it was just a short West Coast tour, like maybe 7 venues, 7 different gigs. And she was there, and she's sweet. You know, it wasn't like a stop and say, hi, how are you? It was not that.
Yeah.
Like, hi, how you doing? And then she walked on. But
right. That's awesome.
Yeah, but you know what? That gig was so much fun, and it makes me miss performing to big crowds, and it makes me miss having an actual show. That's right. Because a lot of the stuff that we do now, we just call a song. We call a song, and we call a play based on the audience and what they're looking for and what the vibe is. But back then, it was a show.
Right.
And that segued me into a whole nother opportunity. After I left that band, you can get tired. You can get tired because they toured a lot. I
imagine.
I got an offer to tour with a guy named Peabo Bryson.
Yeah.
So I did a very short tour with them. That tour got cut short for various reasons. It was only maybe, I want to say, about 2 months.
Okay.
That one was musically super intimidating because they wanted me to play parts that I wasn't capable of playing, for real.
Really?
Woo! Yeah. I mean, they had this girl named Myra, and she was their main keyboard player, and that girl is a monster.
Really? Okay.
Right? She's a monster.
Drummer
named Rico. He was unbelievable.
Okay.
And Dwight was a guy named Dwight, was their music director. And they wanted me to play key bass on a song. So I'm kind of like the bell girl and the pad girl, and they dun, 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 just supporting the everything part.
Absolutely.
And they wanted me to play bass on a song. And the drummer Rico was looking over there. He's just gonna have to be together. It's gonna have to be in sync. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, bass and drums have to lock in together.
Yes. And I was flipping out, and I was like, guys, I can't. You need to give me a different part. Because I was embarrassed, I was mortified, but did some fun stuff with him too, and with that band. Now SOS took me to Soul Train. I was on Soul Train, I don't know how many times.
Right.
Solid Gold, BBC.
Solid Gold. Dancing to the Hits.
Dancing to the Hits.
Yeah.
I actually did one of their official videos with SOS called Borrowed Love. I was in that one. That was a good experience. That was a cool experience for me because I'd never been to the studios, Universal Studios and such. But with Peabo, he took me over to the Apollo Theater as well.
Okay.
And I'd played there quite a few times already with the SOS band, and it's a cool theater to play.
Yeah.
That's the joint.
I've never played there. I've been by there in Harlem.
It's a really cool place. It's old.
Yeah, definitely.
Old and creaky, and
it's
kind of spooky in some of the places.
It's nice to have it on your resume, though, I'm sure.
Yeah, I guess I probably should type one up. But
you have
how
time.
did your family feel about you traveling like that?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
How did your family feel about you traveling?
Well, it was tough because I had a little boy. And I kind of feel bad because he kind of lived the life of a child that had a rock star parent who didn't make the rock star money, because I was just backup, and it's not like I was I wasn't one of the lead people in the band. And so I would come home and be with him when I wasn't on tour and when we weren't traveling, and we traveled a lot. So I actually ultimately, after the Peabo tour got cut short, we were getting ready to go back out, and I bailed out because I felt like I was missing out so much on my son's life. And
that's understandable. That's understandable.
That has to be tough for a woman.
Well, you know what? Yeah, and for anybody, but I guess especially for a mom. And so I actually left everything I knew and literally moved my musical career from Atlanta, which is where the hub was for both of these bands that I performed with. And I moved to North Carolina to a tiny little place outside of Charlotte.
Okay.
And with my son and my mom, and my family, and I basically didn't have any skill set other than I'd been an air traffic controller and I was a musician who had done pretty okay, you know, considering.
Yeah.
And I had to start over.
Yeah.
And I started gigging in Charlotte, and I had to drive an hour at night. I'd drive an hour to get there and an hour to get home at night. So after the gigs were done around 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, I'd get in my car and drive an hour to go home.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to learn a new way to make a living, so
Absolutely.
that I could raise my son and not miss out so much. Because you know what, guys, when you go out on tour like that and you're gone all the time, you miss a lot of that.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
I was going for 2 weeks in 2018. I think Isaiah was 4 years old at the time.
Right.
That was, for me, that was the toughest part about being away for just, 2 weeks straight.
Yeah.
Other than that, it was a blast. But, you got that in the back of your mind. Your child is at home, and you're missing him. He's missing you.
I was never home when my kids were born. I was either in Germany or England or France.
Yeah.
I was never there when they were born.
Yeah.
That's part of the gig, man. That's part
It
of
is.
Yeah, that's part of the gig.
Yeah.
All I do is call and say, okay, how's he doing? Or how's she doing? Or
Yeah, and your children are the ones that kind of suffer from it, and they're the ones that suck it up, kind of.
Absolutely.
I see a pretty good question. It says, knowing how cutthroat this business can be, what advice would you give for people trying to break in and not knowing people who can open a door? And this is a question from Patti.
Okay.
So,
you want to take it?
Well, you guys know a lot about this too, so I'm going to let you go for it. All I know is push.
you're the guest.
Yeah, you're the guest. And then we'll let the elder statesman Ken chime in.
Go ahead.
For me, it was just, I was in the right place at the right time, and I was working hard. And I was really, I was promoting myself on a very, very local level. And you basically just have to just put yourself out there, and if it is a cutthroat business in that, I don't know if I'd call it cutthroat so much. Maybe it is cutthroat. I never really felt that quite as much, but there's so many people that are so talented that don't get an opportunity. And I mean, you guys are in a famous band, and you are a famous band, and you guys are the famous band. I was just playing one, right? But to even just get an opportunity like what I had, it's kind of who you know. And you got to be good at your craft.
Yes,
you have to be good at your craft, and you can't just think you're good, because people sometimes think they are and they're not really.
Mm-hmm.
You really have to let other people who are professionals that are those cutthroat people tell you how good you really are or are not, and then put yourself out there. But you guys are the ones that can really answer that, because all I did was tour with famous bands. You are one.
Well, what we do, and you're right, I tell these two guys above your head every time that, I mean, they always say, man, we're honored. It's not that. It's that your talents put you here.
Yeah.
If you were not talented, you wouldn't be here. And that's for the whole band. That's for the chairman and also the executives. Every one of those guys, and you guys agree, have the right stuff.
I just say it's a matter of preparation, meeting opportunity.
Yes.
So it's like you're kind of on your path working towards something, and then eventually that opportunity comes along. So you can't just be sitting at the house doing nothing. You have to be, like you said, Michelle, you got to put yourself out there, whatever your skill set or your instrument, or if you're a vocalist, you have to be out and about, networking, things of that nature. And then being prepared eventually brings you across
prepared
to that opportunity.
Yes,
exactly. And you have to give your best every time. Just like you shared with us earlier, Michelle, your story about playing in the hotel and having somebody watching you there, connecting you with the SOS band.
Right.
Like if you had decided to just take that gig and just be lackadaisical about it, that person may not have talked to you and introduced you to the SOS band. So when you are out there performing and sharing your gifts, it's important that you are giving your best at all times, at every time, and being professional, because you never know who's watching.
Absolutely.
And with this, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I said I agree. And the other thing is you have to play well in the sandbox. You know, you
with others.
Yeah, right? You can't let your ego get control and get the best of you, because that's nowhere.
Yeah.
Fast.
Right.
Not to mention it's not fun.
Right.
And you really seriously just do the best you can and put yourself out there and pursue.
I agree.
I think I just got lucky because a buddy of mine told them to come hear me, you know, and I was in that circuit. So it's kind of, if you're really, really interested in pursuing a musical career, you need to go to a place where people are really involved in it. Maybe it's Atlanta, maybe it's LA, maybe it's Nashville, maybe it's Austin, Texas, who knows? But then you need to become well known in your craft. You have to be good at it. And you have to really excel and expose yourself.
Right.
But exposing yourself isn't by just saying, hey, listen to my CD. That's out there gigging.
Right. Definitely.
And you might have a day job too. And then do that at night, you know.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So true. So true.
But I do now. I work during the day and then I gig when we can 3 times a week or even 4 times a week. And
well, Hattie says good answer. We used to play with this to have those concerts outside of
in South Park?
In the pavilion.
Well, I forget what it was called.
Piedmont Road.
Piedmont Road, yeah.
Piedmont Road.
Piedmont Road. And
that was fun.
In one time and seen you guys.
Yep. I saw you there, Ken. In fact, you sat in with us there.
Nice.
I told you.
Nice.
2 years ago.
Sat in with us there.
Cool.
And he did. Ken did.
Well, Dodie Burns said you have a fabulous voice.
You have a fabulous voice. You sat in and sounded great.
No, she's talking to you about your video.
Oh, well, thank you.
Video.
Promo video just to get gigs.
Marty Mickey says, and he's from the UK, says, what a voice, distinctive.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So Michelle, you've talked about your experience with the SOS Band and other artists, and you talked about how you came off the road and you made that transition to performing on a more local level here in Charlotte area. So tell us about that transition from going from being a band member to actually leading your own situation, stepping out there as a singer, and you got your own CD that's out and available now. Tell us about how you made that transition.
Oh, thank you, Brandon. So it goes back to the answer to that one question that we all kind of thought about. How do you make it in a cutthroat business, right? You just never stop. You never stop. And you just keep on keeping on. And after I, drove an hour each way to do a gig in Charlotte, I ultimately moved to Lake Norman and started performing there a lot. And I started making a name for myself locally and just getting a following and making friends. And we know, you all know, entertainers know that the people that you perform to are everything.
That's true.
They're everything, or you're not going to perform. And
that's right.
Yep.
So you make friends with these people, and you learn to love them, and hopefully they like you back. And so I met, I knew Ziad. Ziad was a friend of mine, and from a long time ago, I've known him since I was before the SOS Band. Yeah,
that's my boy.
Yeah, I knew him before the SOS Band, and he and I were gigging in a hotel at the same time. He was with Jane Powell, and I was doing it. But anyway, so I started doing some gigs here, and I had him playing sax with me, and we were doing quite a few gigs. And then he introduced me to Rodney Shelton, and then they asked me to join the Mo Money Band, which is that band that was so successful here in Charlotte with Mandel Evans. Mandel Evans was the lead singer and is the lead singer, and he's amazing. He's positively amazing.
Right.
And he does real well in the sandbox, like one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, ever. Never acts like he's got an ego. He's the nicest guy. So then Rodney and I started, we decided to write a record together, and he's a producer, Rodney Shelton, and he'd written a lot of stuff, and he'd already had some deals for people. So he and I wrote an album together, and he would write tracks and he'd send them to me in some cases, and I would just write the song to it. you know, some of the things. One song I wrote when I was in my 20s. One song he wrote when he was who knows how old. And we did a John Legend cover, "Ordinary People."
Okay.
And we released that song. He produced it, and then he asked Stan Vincent, who is a master producer, and he wrote the song, "Ooh, child, things are gonna get easier."
Love that song.
Yeah.
Love that song.
Stan wrote that. Stan produced John Lennon, Aerosmith. He produced all kinds of people, and he's extremely well known in the musical industry. And so Rodney asked to fly him down. My friend Bob Beck, a very good family friend of mine, was actually the executive producer and the investor in this project. Okay. He flew Stan down. Bob Beck flew Stan down to just listen to the record and maybe tweak a couple of little things. And it was so cool to watch that guy in the studio because I thought, because he produced John Lennon, you know.
Absolutely.
And he's sitting there with his eyes closed, listening to the music, and you can tell he's listening to every little part, and you can't interrupt him. And, so we released that record. Stan had some connections in Europe. I wrote the whole record in German as well. I speak German, and so I translated every song into German. And it was a pretty cool thing to do. And I really enjoyed that. And I translated, there were 2 covers on the record, and I translated both of those into German as well.
Interesting.
And and I had amazing musicians. Everything's live. There's none of that.
Programming?
No
programming.
No. Rodney he starts it on an MP6, and then he starts calling in all his people. And I mean, the people that I have, the list of people that I have on my record performing live. I mean, Rashard Jenkins on drums, John Dillard.
Yeah, we know Rashard. Yeah, we know Rashard.
That's the homie right there.
I mean, the list goes on. Jim Brock, David Floyd, Eddie Hedges, and John Dillard. I just think he's amazing.
Oh yeah, he's great.
And so everything we did was live.
Okay.
And live musicians. And then we released that record in Europe, in Germany, in England, in Holland, in Switzerland, and we released it in America, but mostly actually in Europe. So we translated that whole record over. And the point of, I guess, it all is that you just keep on keeping on. You got to keep doing something.
Absolutely.
You never stop. It's non-stop.
And Rodney and I wrote the record together, and we wrote the vast majority of the songs together. There was one song we were writing that's on the record, and it's called "Love of My Life."
Okay.
And I wrote, I kind of had the hook in my head, and we worked through that. And then I wrote a verse, and then it was his turn to write a verse. And we were over at my house, and I had this cathedral ceiling and these steps that go way up. And I said, "You go up there and write your verse now. It's your turn." So he went up there, and he's like, I can't think anything right now. And I wouldn't let him come back down. I said,
"Oh man,
stay up there, you stay up there, write that verse." And then finally he was like, I got it. And he just had this brilliant verse that went along in that record. And so we were pretty excited. We launched it. We had a big CD release party at Amos's. And you know what, guys? That's when I realized that the people that have been coming to hear me sing, they actually care about me as a human being.
As a person.
Nice.
I was so in love with every person that was there.
Nice.
Because they were supporting me and my craft. And oh man, it still gives me goosebumps because like, who does that,
That's awesome.
Go out of their way and come and buy your record and have you sign their CD. And I'm not anybody. I'm just a musician that's been scrapping and trying to make it like a lot of people like me. I mean, you guys are famous, so that's a little different. Put that over here. But,
and the thing is, the music, I think the music connects the performer to the audience. It's the bridge, so even you may not know, say that your audience may not know you specifically on a personal level, but the music allows them to feel that way. And then when they can come out and support you as well, and you end up building a relationship together. You grow together pretty much.
Yeah, you totally do. You totally do. I mean, you guys have such a following, and I mean, mine is a whole lot different than yours, obviously, but you know, you learn to love those people and their support and
extended family.
And that's right. I mean, we've been fortunate because we've done the national tours like yourself. We've done the European tours, and now our home base has been here in this market.
Yeah.
And fans, they come everywhere. Some fans come the whole weekend to see us.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these fans are on here right now that have chairman of the board. I mean, we lost General in 2010. We lost Danny in 2018. But the thing is, they stuck with the product that we have.
Yeah.
They love seeing Midas. They love seeing Brandon. They love seeing Thomas. They love seeing D. They love seeing John. I'm gonna name everybody.
Doug,
Jerome. You know, and myself. I'm the last one that puts their mind back to, oh yeah. and myself, I am the luckiest man in the world every time I hit the stage, because I'm surrounded by guys who do their job night in, night out, 24/7, 365. That's hard to find that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know, and so it's a great marriage, and that all our friends and fans come in to see this big marriage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I had to put it that way. And
no, it's good.
It's about the music and how you present it. So that's we're lucky to continue to have people that continue to come see us all the time.
Catherine Dakin, she said she mentioned the Forever Angels Animal Rescue that was canceled. So I just thought real quick that might be an opportunity for Michelle to speak about, you know, her love for animals and her dealings with the animal rescue.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Well, people that know me know that I'm about that.
Tell us a little bit about that real fast.
If you don't like people that like animals, you're not gonna like me. I've been in rescue. Well, my mom started me in it. We'd pick up anything we saw on the side of the road. It could be a human, it could be an animal, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then I got into rescue 20 years ago, and I've fostered, I'm going to say probably including like litters of 5 Chihuahuas, typically small dogs, probably between 75 and 100 dogs, one at a time, or maybe a litter at a time, and 20.
Wow.
And our friend Tazz, who is all of our friend.
Yeah. Hey, Tazz.
Hey, Tazz.
How you doing? Hey, Tazz.
I don't see Tazz. She needs to come.
Tazz is our show producer.
She is in animal rescue too, and so she gets me. And you take these animals that are unwanted, you take them out of the pound. They're sick, they look horrible, they look gross, their skin is awful, their fur is off, they might have a broken leg, they might be kaput. And I work with Operation Care, and Angie Hucks is the president of that group, and she's the woman who will pick up anything. Mm-hmm. They picked up a dog one time that she saw the dog laying there, and somebody had told her they'd driven by there for 3 days in a row, and that dog was laying there. She walked up to the dog, and she raised her head and wagged her tail, and every bone in her body was broken. She took the dog home, put the dog back together, and the dog's happy as a clam.
Wow.
That's what we do, and it's a big, important part of my life. I love animals a lot. I love animals a lot. I love animals. I love little kids and young people, and I love old people. Anything that can't really have a voice for themselves is real special.
Right. That's great. Speaking of what Midas was saying, yeah, we were supposed to do Paws in the Park, and it got canceled because of the coronavirus situation. Yeah. I have dogs. I had 2 small ones. Yeah, you know.
That too, right here at my feet.
BB and Sophie, right?
Sophie and Phoebe.
Oh, they're Phoebe. I said BB. I'm thinking about BB Winans.
10 pounds and 12 pounds. And Brandon's always when we come over. But you know, we're in that thing too about animal rescue. So we're glad to put on the show for I think it's called Charlotte Black Dog Association.
Okay, that's in Pineville, correct?
Correct.
Right. Nice.
All right.
And we need a gig, man. We need a gig. We're actually doing something on TV. We're doing something live on Saturday just to sing and just to perform.
Well, we can't wait either. But Jeff Proctor says you are looking fantastic, Michelle.
Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, you know what? You guys are so cool to have me on this show, and I love your music, and I want to know when I can come hear you.
Anytime.
And I'm gonna sing behind the curtain. I'll be singing backup.
You can come.
No,
there you go.
You can't have you behind the curtain.
Just a little more time.
Yeah, you can take Ken's microphone like the Temptations movie.
I love it.
You're welcome anytime, but you know, I think it keeps you young, honestly. Like you said, just give you a tour bus of keyboards and an outfit, you gone.
Yes, indeed.
Man, I'm 90 years old.
The outfit's important.
I'm 90 years old.
Kid is crazy.
No, you're not. You're just a young punk.
Ken was alive when the Spanish flu was happening in 1920. So he's actually older than 90.
Yeah, I survived that. I better survive this one.
Yeah, you're gonna survive.
But you know, we want also people understand. Hey, John Skeen, that we all have to be safe out here.
Got to first and foremost.
Yeah.
First and foremost, you know, we would love to see all our fans. I tell you, we can hardly wait till we hit the stage. One of our players, his name is Rob McCoy.
Mm-hmm.
He how can you say he recovered from COVID-19?
Yeah, we had him on about a month ago when we did the regular quarantine party chat. He shared his story.
We still have to be careful, you know, and
been advised to wear a mask, you know, as far as going maybe perhaps grocery shopping or where there's going to be you know, quite a few people. There we go. You know, so for right now, it's just best just to follow the guidelines. As they say, it's best to be safe than sorry.
I want to hear you guys' story. I want to hear Ken's story from when he was little. Midas, your story from when you were little. Brandon, your story from when you were little.
Give me the abbreviated version.
Every one of you three cats were playing music when you were this tall.
Yeah, Mom, are you still on here? If my mom is still on there, because before I started playing keys, I was a drummer, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I was 2 years old pulling pots and pans. My family, I grew up in a church, so you know, my dad was pastor in a church, so I was exposed to music. My dad played keys and everything too. But I believe, Mom can confirm this if she's still on here, but I was pulling pots and pans out the bottom of the stove when I was 2 years old. And I think I had my first little toddler drum set by the time I was 3. And then from there, I, of course, began playing at church. And I remember just being very young, playing a drum set and everybody just looking at me. Now I look at little kids the same way when when they got it going on with their instrument, you can't help but like stare at them. You know, you just so I do recollect that early on we had a piano in the house. So I started tinkering with that. I think my dad got me my first keyboard when I was 8 or 9 years old. And once I started messing with that, was playing in church, I kind of left the drums alone, you know, and so many things, you know, but that's the gist of where it started. If I got into the whole thing, we probably run out of time, but that's an abbreviated version. Brandon and I worked on some music together in college. Me and Brandon been connected for 20 years, Brandon.
About 23 years.
Yeah.
Wow. When did you start performing? When did you start playing an instrument, Brandon?
I started dabbling with keyboards when I was a kid, maybe about 9 or 10 years old, and
What about you, Ken?
Let Brandon finish his story.
Well, I didn't really start performing publicly on a regular basis until I was a few years in college. I was actually in college studying graphic design, so that was my first passion, visual art. And then after school, a couple years after, is when Jerry and I formed our own band, and then a little later we got hooked up with Ken. So yeah, that's the passion. So, you know, passions you can't run from.
So cool.
Yeah. Your passion will chase you down. Can't run.
Talented cat. You're a talented cat.
Mine started when, like I said, when I was 12. I just told my little piece, but my brother played saxophone, and he was also a singer. So, but he also liked chasing the girls. So
lost his focus.
Huh?
Yeah.
He lost his focus.
Yeah. So when he was in the house, I would sneak in there and put that thing together.
Mm-hmm.
And he was gone, and I would put it together, and I started tooting on it. And so he saw the love that I had, and just like your parents, my brother gave me my first saxophone when I was like probably 14.
Okay.
Now I'm dating myself, but it came out of the Detroit riots.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So, back then, people going down the street with keyboards, basses, saxophones, and my brother called this one guy. He said, "I want to buy that. How much you want?" The guy said, "Give me $25, man." And so my brother came down the street, and there I was. Then I had me a saxophone. I said, "Wow."
Yeah.
So I was like 12, 14, 16, and it's been in my blood ever since. Like these guys, my idols were. I grew up in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many idols. Four Tops, Temptations. I heard that Bob Seger, Miss Ryder, all that was going on in the city.
Mm-hmm.
And then I heard the chairman of the board, because I used to go see the group play downtown Detroit. In fact, it was so many people downtown Detroit I couldn't see. So a friend of mine was our center on our basketball team. He was like 6'8". He put on his shoulders, and I could rise above the audience and see the band.
Wow.
Never dreamed that years later that I would be in the group.
Right.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So I think the common thread is just having access at an early age. And I remember like my dad, and I would get signed out from school sometimes to go play something at the technical school. If we had like a choir member or something involved and they had to sing, I would get signed out of school. Just different things like that I didn't really understand at the time. Now I look back on that and I'm like, wow, I must have been pretty talented, at a young age. But again, just having access at an early age where you can have an instrument in your hand, or you can go somewhere and just exercise your gifts. I think that's very important. Oh, it's been an hour already. Good grief.
Yeah, great hour.
Yeah. Well,
an hour and 8 minutes to be exact.
Michelle, tell the people about your self-titled album and where they can get that, and what kind of music and songs that they can expect on this album.
Okay. Well, actually, I have a picture of it. This is one of my records. It's Michelle Renee, self-titled. And you can get it on iTunes. Just put in Michelle Renee. You can put in Gypsy Girl. We released it in America as Gypsy Girl. In Germany, it was just self-titled, and that's where I have German translation songs in there as well. And you can find it on iTunes, obviously CD Baby, and then you can reach out to me, and I've got hard copies here too. The music, some of my biggest influences in my life were Sade, love her. Michael Franks. Do you guys know who Michael Franks is?
Yep.
He's such a lyric writer. He's such a poet. But Sade was pretty much my biggest influence. And I like that. I like that kind of feel. So the record, of course, Rodney, my co-writer and my producer, knows what I like, and he laughs because he's always going. You got a certain groove that's kind of your pocket. The whole record has a groove, and I really wish I could have been like a Sheila E. or something. I'm like a wannabe. Yeah. But so the record is a percussive, smooth jazz / maybe close to pop, but really mostly smooth jazz.
Okay.
And but it does have a percussive base to it, a foundation. And so if you like music that you can toe tap in, it's kind of like that kind of stuff. Okay. And we love the record. I mean, we put a lot of thought into it, and
let me tell you, I can definitely hear the Sade influence when I listen to the album. Like the tracks are really smooth. It's got a smooth jazz vibe. And I want to give y'all kudos to actually writing and producing bridges on your song.
Bridges.
A lot of songs now don't have bridges anymore. They just do the verse and the chorus, and
and they don't have live musicians either.
Right. Right.
Well, they might have one or two.
Yeah. There's always some programming
live, and yours are too. Y'all's records are all live musicians. Tazz turned me on to a video of that song. Ken, what is the name of that song that I love so much? And you did the video in that big house.
Words Left Unsaid.
Oh, I love that song.
Yeah.
I'm here to tell everybody watching this, go to your Alexa or go to your iTunes and pull up Words Left Unsaid by Chairman of the Board. I love that song.
Yeah.
Thank
Great
you.
song.
Wow.
And I think we got to pop up your information, Michelle, as far as if any of our listeners and watchers want to know how to contact you on social media.
Yes, that would be me. And if you would like to buy a CD, I can send you one until I run out.
Yes.
And I just have to get some more. But
that's all.
I really appreciate you guys having me on here. I feel extremely flattered.
Oh, thank you for joining us.
So grateful for everybody being so cool. And you know what's so nice about this area? And well, music brings everybody together anyway, you know?
Sure.
Yeah.
Music brings us all together. And you guys are such lovely, generous musicians. And I'm just really thankful for having met you and for knowing you and for being here and being in a community with such cool guys. And you guys make beautiful music, and we're all in this together.
Yeah, and you're right.
That's a song. We're in this love together.
Yeah, we've done our time. So you listen, guys, just stay tuned. Again, you can catch this live on Facebook. That's my story, as well as our YouTube page. Feel free to shoot over to the YouTube page, like, subscribe, so you can stay informed week to week who our guests will be. And I think that's pretty much it, guys. This has been wonderful. We've gone a little bit over our time. We went 1 hour and 20. I think we're gonna wrap, guys. Thank everyone so much for tuning in to our second episode.
Awesome people and such amazing musicians. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. You're awesome.
Yeah, to all of our friends, stay safe. Stay safe.
Yep.
Take your temperature. Take your temperature.
Thank you so much.